Okay, so this is part 2 of the analysis of Dulce et Decorum Est. So this is all we've got to go. So hopefully I can get this done in 10 minutes, but no promises. Okay, so in the first part of the poem, we've looked at how the soldiers had been fighting and they're coming back to have a rest, and they're really tired and lethargic. And then all of a sudden there's a gas attack, so they have to scramble. And in the meantime, one of the soldiers doesn't get the gas on, so obviously the gas is going to affect him. And Owen's recounting this to the audience. Okay, so we start here. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. Okay, so you've got in here, in all my dreams. Okay, so obviously the use of my is going to show that it's about Owen. Okay, so it's really personal to him. In all my dreams. Okay, so you've got hyperbole or exaggeration here, in all my dreams. So it's like it's affecting him constantly, and it kind of links back with that dreams bit. It reminds me of that bit earlier on about the haunting flares, that idea of it being this all-encompassing thing that he can't get away from. So even when he's asleep, he remembers this moment. Before my helpless sight. So helpless sight, you've kind of got that that motif of that loss of senses again. And helpless is a really interesting word choice here, because he's saying he can't help the things that he's seeing in his dreams. There's nothing that he can do about it, because that moment has had such a lasting impact on him that there's nothing that he can do to repress that image that he's seeing. He plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. Okay, so the word plunges is like, it's like a falling action, but it's a really clumsy falling action, and it's like you get this image of this soldier basically like falling almost at the feet of Owen, guttering, choking, drowning. Okay, so you've got here with the ing, the repetition of the ing. This is what you call present participles with the ing at the end. So the close succession of present participles, it puts you immediately in there, and for Owen it makes the audience be there with Owen and imagining that happening. Okay, so it's to create that image of this poor soldier who is basically just like struggling to survive in front of Owen. Okay, he's choking, he's drowning. Okay, so similar to before when they're saying, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. Okay, so you've got here this idea of how it's affected Owen so much. Okay, he then kind of shifts focus a little bit, and he directs it more not towards just his own experience, but directs it to the audience. So if in some smothering dreams you two could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in. If, because we're not there. Owen's audience is not there, okay? They're not experiencing the war. So he's saying, if you could do it, but you can't, but he's trying to explain it to you, okay? So again here, by using the word you, he's forcing the audience to be involved. A smothering dream, okay? So good word choice. It's showing that there's nothing he can do. It's like suffocating him. It's killing him. These dreams that he's having are playing on his mind constantly, and there's nothing that he can do. And it's affecting him greatly. Okay, so obviously the word pace just means to walk behind, like to pace. So if in some smothering dreams you two could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in. So flung is a really good word choice here, because it's similar to, I suppose, Anthem, where you have that sort of lack of care for a soldier, and that lack of care for a body. So it's like they're cattle, so they've flung him. So it's like he's an object. He hasn't been placed in there caringly. There's a rush. They have to do it, so they just have to literally throw him in there. So there's no sort of reverence for or respect for what's happened to this poor soldier. And watch the white eyes writhing in his face. Okay, so writhing means like struggling, and they're white eyes because his eyes are rolling backwards, okay, because he's being so affected by the gas. So he's saying if you could pace behind and see the being flung in, and then if you could see the way that his eyes were being affected. Okay, so if you could see both of those things. And then he says his hanging face like a devil sick of sin. So you've got a powerful simile here, because it's, well, the devil deals in sin. That's what the devil is known for. But it's like even this the devil can't handle. Even this is too much for the devil. Okay, and the devil's just going, oh, I can't deal with this anymore. Okay, his hanging face, right? Like just doesn't even understand what's happening anymore. Okay, so the idea of war is Owen's comparing the idea of war to being something that's so devastating that even the most evil thing in the world can't deal with the actual realities of war. Okay, Owen then goes on to say, if you could hear at every jolt. Okay, so again, he's saying if you could see that happening. Now he's saying if you could hear. So there's a lot of that appeal to the senses. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs. So it's the idea that the gas has taken over, and it's basically like suffocating him. Like, so you're getting like this froth building up inside his lungs that's stopping the soldier from being able to breathe. And you've got this gargling, this onomatopoeia of gargling, just to create that imagery and to kind of try and put the audience there again. And he's saying if you could hear it. Obscene as cancer, bitter as the card. Okay, so you've got two similes here because you've got the word as, obscene as cancer, bitter as the card. Okay, so he's comparing the gas to that. Okay, so obscene as cancer, so it's something that's taking over, and the word obscene obviously is something that is like devastating and extremely negative. Obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud. Okay, so cud is like when cows chew grass and it's like a really, bitter, like they've had the word here, bitter, but it's just to create that imagery of what the gas is doing. Okay, so obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud. You've got the two imageries, two examples of similes there, of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. Okay, so vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. So you can read that literally, but if you read that as a metaphor, it's like the idea of war is something that will never leave these people, and they're innocent tongues because they're young. Okay, Owen's making a comment about how young and naive these people were who were going to war, and they didn't understand what it would be, but they now have these vile incurable sores. Okay, so they're the literal vile incurable sores from the gas, but you can also interpret it more figuratively as that idea that they have been forever changed. Okay, so the sores are obviously like the sores on the tongue. It's like the experience of war has left this scarring on them, I suppose, this scarring that will never be cured. Okay, it's vile, it's incurable. There's nothing they can do about it. They can't unsee or unhear what they've seen and heard. Okay, so here you've got Owen saying a lot of things. Okay, so there's no full stops here. There's no full stops in this sentence at all. Okay, so there's a full stop there, but there's no full stops going on. So he's like building up all this imagery to get the audience to see the realities of it and to force the audience to be involved in it. Okay, and then he does it does that even more by saying my friend. So he's talking to the audience and he's saying, like, trying to identify with them, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest. So zest is like enthusiasm. So kind of like how I talk about Owen, like enthusiastically and being really excited about it. You would not tell with such high zest. So he's saying, if you could hear and you could see all of these things, you would not be talking about war in such an exciting way. You wouldn't think it was exciting. Okay, if you saw the reality of it, you wouldn't think it was exciting. He's saying you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory. Okay, so ardent means passionate, so passionate, like just really wanting it. And children, okay, so again, it links back to this idea of innocence. So children, so he's saying that the people who go to war are young and they don't understand what's happening, and and people they think that it's going to be glorious, and like we talked about in our where we did on context, people thought the war was glamorous and that it was something like an adventure. Okay, so they're desperate. So for art for some desperate glory, so they think that it's going to be glorious. Okay, so he's saying if you could see the reality of wars, you would not be telling children, these poor children who go to war because they think it's going to be fantastic, because you are telling them the old lie. And lie is in capital, so it's a proper noun. So it's like something that Owen is saying, this is a thing that everyone should know. And he's saying that this is the lie afterwards, Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori, which is Latin. And up at the start I said Dulce et decorum est means it is sweet and right. If you look here, patria sounds like patriotism, like to do with country and to do with being proud. So the whole saying, which is actually like a saying in Latin, is it is sweet and right to die for your country. Okay, so that's basically how people governments got people to enrol for war, because people thought it was going to be this fantastic thing, because it's a privilege to die. It's a privilege to go to war. It's a privilege to even be considered to be this upstanding soldier. Okay, and Owen is showing his audience that no, this is not the reality of war. The reality of war is something very different to that glorified, romanticized version of war that people have had prior to World War I, and probably now a little bit, but not to the same extent, because obviously we have more access to information and less censorship in some ways than we used to have. But so he's using this narrative of a gas attack to show people how bad war is and the reality of war and how horrific the horrors of war. And by using it here up in the top, so where it says Dulce et decorum est, so his audience probably know means it is sweet and right to die for your country. So they're going to think that this is this patriotic poem about what, like the old way of thinking about war, about it being this fantastic journey and adventure. And similar to Anthem, where it sounds like he's going to be doing this sort of fantastic celebration of war, it ends up being the opposite of that. Okay, so there's almost like irony in his line, because he's not saying this at all. He's not saying it's sweet and right. He's saying it's the opposite to that. So that is Dulce et decorum est finished. I managed to do it in less than 30 minutes, so that's pretty exciting. So please watch it, rewind it, pause it, whatever you need to do just to get as many annotations down as possible. Use your notes page as well. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much.